Good morning and welcome to Edgewater Ranzel's webinar series. Today's webinar presents Oracle's new cloud offering, Account Reconciliation Cloud Service, and it is hosted by Debra O'Connell. Our webinar series targets specific customer interests related to business analytics solutions that include Oracle Hyperion Enterprise Performance Management, Business Intelligence, and Big Data. So we'd like you to email us at seminars@ranzel.com with topics that you'd like to see covered. During the presentation, we encourage you to submit questions in the right-hand panel on your screen, and we will do our best to respond at the end of the presentation. Edgewater Ranzel is an Oracle Platinum partner deeply rooted in enterprise performance management. Coupled with our business intelligence and big data expertise, we provide holistic business analytics solutions that help organizations to define, measure, and innovate their business, provide a clear vision, and drive business value. We have resources and clients located throughout the United States, Canada, and Europe, making Edgewater Ranzel one of the largest specialized Oracle Hyperion EPM BI BD partners. Our team of over 200 employees has years of industry-specific experience, certifications on various Hyperion applications, and includes Oracle ACEs, who are recognized experts in their subject area. Services we provide support all facets of Oracle Enterprise Performance Management, Business Intelligence, and Big Data Solution Delivery, including consolidation and reporting with the Financial Close Suite, Enterprise Planning, Profitability and Cost Management, and Business Intelligence Applications and Technology, and we offer supporting services for infrastructure, data services and integration, training and support services, and project management. For additional details about Edgewater Ranzel, visit our website, www.ranzel.com. Earlier this year, Edgewater Ranzel celebrated 20 years as a leading business analytics service provider, and for the third year in a row, has been recognized by the Commonwealth Institute and More Research as the 5th largest woman-led business in Florida and is ranked in the top 10 for each of the last 5 years. Other company highlights include the release of an FDMEE guide authored by Tony Scalise, Integration Practice Director at Edgewater Ranzel. The book provides technical information about Oracle Financial Data Management, Enterprise Edition, and its functionality, as well as direction about how and why the application can and should be used. In a recent article published in Cost Management Magazine, Ranzel's Senior Vice President of Technology and Strategy, Mike Killeen, outlines how to establish a high-performing organization with profitability evangelism from today's finance function. M2 Dynamics, an Oracle Platinum partner that provides Oracle Enterprise Performance Management and Business Intelligence solutions and services primarily to the West Coast and southern regions of the United States, was recently acquired by Edgewater Ranzel to provide clients with IT consultancy services specializing in business analytics and encompassing EPM, BI, and big data solutions. Finally, Edgewater Ranzel recently acquired Chicago-based Branchbird, an Oracle Gold partner specializing in big data and data discovery technologies and solutions. This acquisition provides Branchbird with the infrastructure to rapidly expand their offerings and helps Ranzel to expand its reach into emerging Oracle big data space. Today's presenter is Debra O'Connell. Debra has over 20 years working with financial systems, half on the client and internal side and half on the software and services side. After a start in accounting, Debra spent the majority of her career working in the Hyperion Oracle space. For many years, she developed and administered systems in-house for an international decentralized Fortune 200 company, so she knows firsthand the pain of collecting, aggregating, and reporting on non-structured data. Debra is a principal solutions manager for Edgewater Ranzel and works closely with business development managers. Debra?
Thanks, Joe. So welcome to the webinar. I'm going to take you through an agenda where we're going to take a quick peek at the close process, discuss reconciliations, a 1-minute soundbite on cloud computing, and then we'll talk about account reconciliation cloud service, do a demo where we're going to do a day in the life from the point of view of a preparer, a manager, and a reviewer, and then end with a quick comparison to the on-premises ARM product that Oracle has, and then we'll open up the floor to questions. Okay, so as you know, I think in all of my webinars I show this slide. The extended financial close process is fragmented, and right now it's a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of emails, telephone calls, and a lot of luck. And so it's tricky to get control over this. So some of the challenges that every single company has is trying to close your books, reduce the cycle time, and do this in a quick basis. So the average company, it's going to take them, or they've studied that it takes 12 days to do this, and really a world-class financial close would be in 6 days. So ARCS, an account reconciliation manager, is going to try and reduce this time a lot. Okay, I promised that was going to be quick. That was my 2 slides on close. Let's talk about a reconciliation. Now, probably the most basic reconciliation that all of us do or pretend to do is a checkbook reconciliation, but that's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about is validating that the balances in all the accounts and our financials are correct. And we need this because business conditions change, and there's big penalties if your financial data isn't okay. So different types of reconciliations that we're going to go through are comparisons to bank balances. So kind of the most typical one is cash, comparing GLs to subledgers like you would do for accounts payable, comparing a GL to a subledger to an aging. So we would do that with AR, GLs to subledgers, and then trying to roll forward that data. So something like that is fixed assets. And then document composition and justification. So for our prepaids and accruals and other kinds of accounts, that's where we would do that. Couple samples. So this was something that I just kind of Googled and found some pictures of different Excel reconciliations. So this is a bank rec. This is an example of a different Excel one. So this is a business check. So the idea is that for the most part, people are doing this today in Excel, and we want to try and get them away from that. So we have our balances, going into some way of reconciling this. Most typically, this is tons and tons of Excel books, and then at the end of the day, everybody's kind of printing them out and creating these huge binders of paper. There's preparers and reviewers, but there's not a lot of control over the process. So we want to fix that. So according to a study by Robert Half, more than 60% of companies are manually doing this. And so there's lots of issues here. There's some uncertainty. There's no visibility into the status of completion. So probably right now in your organization you have phone calls and emails saying, is it done? Is it done? Where are you in the reconciliation? So that's kind of a problem. We have different formats for everything. We can't report across reconciliations. There's no workflow or collaboration. And it's difficult to optimize your performance because there's so much risk in this. You're spending the same amount of time reconciling accounts that are low risk as much time as you're doing, very important ones. Okay, so that was a little bit on reconciliations. 2 slides on cloud computing. So cloud computing is using remote servers to store, manage, and process data. So these are hosted environments in the internet. Cisco claims that 27% of spending is going to contribute to cloud deployments. And some of the typical consumer examples are Google Drives, iCloud, Amazon Cloud. I mean, even I look at my kids who are in middle school right now, and all of their schoolwork is stored on a cloud up in Google Drive. So there's no more kind of, I forgot my homework, my computer went down, I lost the document. Everything is up there on the cloud, so they're very accountable. So it's a consumer example. This is really what we're talking about, though, is for big business stuff. So some of the advantages of using Oracle's cloud, you don't have to worry about purchasing and configuring servers, 99.5% availability. They're going to take care of all of the patches and updates. They have a 2-week update cycle. They're going to take care of the backups. And that way your users, some more of your finance users, don't have to have these database skills. The people at Oracle are going to do that for you. And you'll see in here there's a lot of documentation in here that's constantly being updated. So it's no more books and outdated PDF files. They're going to go right into their system and see documentation that's up to date. So this is a big deal with ARCS, is that you're going to not have to have a big IT, when you're implementing this, there's not a huge IT component. It's all up in the cloud and very easy for you guys to use. Okay, so let's talk about ARCS. So it's the Account Reconciliation Cloud Service. This is a new Oracle product that went GA in March to address the global reconciliation process. So the support is going to be for the complete life cycle, including verifying, tracking assignments, managing the preparation of the reconciliations, and really trying to minimize the risk and optimize the processing time. This integrates with your transaction systems, and it's fully integrated with the EPM cloud. So all of the identity management is using the Oracle Cloud Service, so kind of similar to PBCS and some of their other cloud products and BICS. This is integrated with that cloud. So their mission is to manage these global processes, so balance sheet consolidation systems, budget and actuals, doing this, tracking ones in multiple currencies. And so the whole process is loading the data, auto-reconciling where you can, notifying what needs to be reconciled, preparing the reconciliation, and reviewing it and monitoring it. So it's this whole kind of around-the-clock cycle that they're going to automate. So instead of having everything in Excel and in phone calls and emails, it's all right here, right within ARCS. So this is the ARCS home screen. For those of you that have used or seen other Oracle Cloud products, it looks very similar. This is their simplified interface. I'm showing this to you obviously on my laptop or on a computer, but this is optimized for mobile. So to be able to approve on your phone, on your smartphone, on your tablet, etc. So it's very clean, very easy to look at. This is an example of one of the dashboards. So it's big and bright and easy to read. Some compliance dashboards. So this is a huge difference between performing reconciliations in an integrated system and doing it kind of offline in Excel, is that you have this visibility from a top side into where we are in the close. So we have 715 completed reconciliations. These are the rejected ones. Here's who's working on them. So this is a great way to manage the close and really get a holistic view into what needs to be done. An example of reconciliation listings, we're going to see these when we log into the system. Discussion about formats. So formats are what we're going to create. These are reusable templates for profiles. So the idea is that we're going to create certain formats that we want to see the reconciliations in, and we're going to apply them across multiple accounts. And this way, it's very easy for the users to use, and it gives us a nice standardized format going forward. Profiles are the templates from that, so profiles are created from these formats, and this is where we get into the nitty-gritty of the accounts that are reconciled. We will reuse these from periods, and we can either have base level ones, so the lowest level of account detail, or summary ones. And within a profile, we can also choose an auto reconciliation if we want. So when we say an auto reconciliation, instead of always having data get loaded and having somebody go in and say, okay, we have nothing in the source system and nothing in the GL, yes, I agree that those two reconcile. This will give us a way to automatically have everything reconcile without, for low-risk accounts, not necessarily having to have somebody touch them. And then these are reconciliations. So within a period, we have different accounts to be reconciled. They get created from those profiles, and then we'll load up transactions. You're going to see all of this when I get into the system. There's also something in here in ARCS that I think is really cool. This is a learning academy. So each of these tiles have all these short videos, which is how you can get trained on this. So you can have your users can go in and learn how to use ARCS. And what's very cool here, is that we can go in and just look at short videos. So instead of looking at a 2-hour kind of video, if your user just needs to see how do I use standard formats, they can go in and look at just a 3-minute video. And even cooler is that they're only going to have access within the Learning Academy to what they actually have administrative rights to do. So if I don't have the rights to create users, then when I go into my Learning Academy, I'm not going to have that shown up as an option. So I'm not going to be able to teach myself how to do tasks that I don't have rights to do. Okay, so we're going to go in and take a look at ARCS. I just want to take you through kind of the story flow. So this is Barry. These are the 5 tiles that he's going to have rights to. We're going to review his Flipboard, look at some dashboards, and then work on basically 5 reconciliations. We're going to look at prepaid expenses, and that's going to show us about importing transactions. We're going to do an in-transit inventory reconciliation, which will talk about not only importing balances from a source system, but also how you could set up auto reconciliations. Long-term investments is an example I have in here is a tracking. So even though we're not loading data from other systems to populate the long-term investments, we can have it in here so that we're still assigning the workflow and the approval process and have all of our reconciliations in one place. We'll look at AR, which is an example of a multi-currency reconciliation, and then we're going to look at summary ones, which is where we're going to aggregate a bunch of them so that if I have 15 prepaid expenses accounts, I can look at one reconciliation that's going to summarize all of those for me so I can see where I stand with all of those accounts. We're going to look at report binders. So now instead of creating those big paper books, this is a way that I can go in and generate all of my reconciliations, put them into a PDF or into an HTML index file, and hand those off to my auditors. Talk a little bit about task reassignments. So if Barry is going on vacation or is going to training and wants somebody else to handle his reconciliations, how we can do that in an easy way. And then just peek at that Learning Academy again. The second person we're going to log on is Henry, who's a reviewer, and we're just going to get a sense of what it looks like to approve and reject reconciliations, and then just his slightly different view of the world. And then Maria. So Maria is the manager, she's the administrator, and she's going to have the ability to do more than the others do. So not only can she approve the requests, she can generate reports, she can configure the system, create new reconciliations, etc. Okay, so with that, let's go into ARCS. Okay, so I've logged in to Account Reconciliation Manager. I'm logged in as Barry, and this is what he's going to see when he logs in. So he can update his profile picture, and this over here on the left is called his Flipboard. It's a new Oracle term. So this is saying the status of everything that he has responsibility for right now. Now he has 42 reconciliations that are open or late, and typically if we were in the middle of a close, this would give him a sense of what's due today and what's coming due in the next 7 days. So if I click on here on the arrow into open, I can come in here and get a status of all of the reconciliations which he's working on for the current month, which is November. Now this up here, this kind of sorting, filtering mechanism up here is called the film strip. For those of you who remember what film strips look like, this is their new term for this. It's showing all of the reconciliations that he has, his open ones, and then ones that are late, ones that are due today, so very similar to the Flipboard that we were just looking at. I have the ability to go in here and do some more filtering, so if I click on here, this is going to show all the reconciliations for November 2015, but not necessarily what Barry has rights to. And then if I click over here on the person, this is everything that's open with me. Okay, so nice big fonts for those of us who need the big fonts these days to read it, and lots to look at. I just want to show you too on here I can do some sorting, so this is going to sort it in order, and then just open up a closed one before we get into all of the other ones that we're going to do. This is a clearing account. So in this one, if I go in here and I look at some of my additional properties, I have auto reconciliation set here. So my method for this is that the balance is 0. So this one has already automatically been closed out because I have it set to auto reconcile. So rather than having to go in and look at all these, every single one of my reconciliations, we can set up certain ones that as long as the 2 items are in balance, we can, it'll automatically be cleared out. So this is a tremendous time saver. Okay, let's look at some dashboards, and we're going to go in and start creating reconciliations. So these are Barry's dashboards. So this is November 2015. The pie chart isn't that interesting because it's everything, everything right now looks open and light. I'm showing by my different formats, so by current liabilities, inventory, zero balance accounts. I can click on this and change it and look at my different processes, so everything is balance sheet in here. I can look at organizational units. So this is everything that's complete or incomplete for North America. I can sort it by count or by alphabetical. So you see how North America is at the top right now. If I change it to alphabetical, it's going to change to what hasn't been assigned an organizational unit, and then to Asia, EMEA, and North America. So very easy for any user to go in and make changes and look at the status of the close from the top. Again, this is 48. This is only what Barry has rights to. When we log in as Maria later, you're going to see way more reconciliations because she has rights to everything. But this is just what he has access to. So the system is fully securable in terms of that. If there's HR reconciliations or ones that aren't appropriate for him to have access to, he's not going to see them at all. We'll look at a compliance dashboard. So I think in the PowerPoint I showed you something that looked like this. So this is showing what's completed, what's been rejected, prepared, reviewed, etc. Try and take a snapshot of this in your head, because when we come in and look at this as Maria, this is just for Barry, but when Maria comes in, we're going to see everybody's activity here. And then I have one other screen here, which is just activity. So it's showing what's been going on today. So it looks like Maria's been busy. Okay, so that was my dashboards. Let's go into what's called Navigator. This is a different view of my reconciliation list. For any of you who've seen Account Reconciliation Manager, the on-prem version, this looks more similar to the on-premises version because we have this kind of advanced filtering. So this is a list of all of my reconciliations. You can see I have different statuses and risk ratings and the account types, etc. So I have everything that I have access to, either as a preparer, I think I have some reviewer ones down there. I can go in and filter this list because that's a lot for me to look at. I can either look at predefined filters or I can create one on the fly. So today we're only going to look at everything for company 100. So when I click on company contains 100, everything in my list is now account ID 100. I can go in it and save this filter and call it company 100. And then the next time I come in it, I can reuse that. And this is a simple filter. I can choose a lot of conditions and stuff to make it more advanced. But for our purposes, we're just going to keep it pretty simple right now. So now let's go in and take a look at some of the reconciliations. So the first one we're going to take a look at is prepaid expenses. And let me just kind of take you through the screen. There's a lot of information on here. So this is the description. So the prepaid expense account tracks insurance and other prepaid payments, my period number, my status, my start and my end date, the organizational unit is assigned to, the process, so whether it's balance sheet or any other process I set up, the account type, my normal balance account, so this is a prepaid account, so it should have a debit account. It's going to throw up a flag if this has a credit account and if it has a credit balance, because that's, you know, a red flag that something is off. My risk rating for this is high, which means that I definitely want to look in here and check it out. And then the method is account analysis. So I have two different methods in here basically. One is account analysis, which means that I'm going to take my balance and explain what's making up that account. So I'm building on the transactions within that account. So if we look here right now, my source system is 104,000 is what I have, and I have nothing explaining what that's coming, how I got that. So my source system balance came from my GL, and now I want to explain what's going on with that. So if I look at my explain balance, I have no transactions in here, and I want to load in the transactions that are going to make up this number. Now for my demo, we're going to go in and load these up. In reality, you would, the administrator at the beginning of the period would be going in and loading up from a file all of the transactions for everything, but I'm going to just, you know, I'm doing it in here to show you how easy this is. So I can go in and copy my transactions from a prior reconciliation if I have them, or I can import them. So I'm going to go ahead and import my transaction. So this is a flat file. And it's my prepaid transactions file. I have different date formats. I can either do it in an incremental mode, or I can replace everything. I'm going to add, because I don't have anything in there. I'm going to import them. It's going to say status completed successfully. I created 100 transactions. I'll say OK, and you can see now that I have all of these invoices, so all of this detail that got loaded up. I can click on any of these, and it's going to give me more detail, so the transaction date, the description, the long description, and I can see that. And now when I go into my summary, I can see, lo and behold, isn't that great, everything is in balance. So I loaded up $104,000 worth of transactions for that, and look at that, it matches my source system, just like real life, I'm sure. I have a couple certification questions here before I can submit this to my reviewer to approve it. So the first one is, did you comply with all company policies? This has a star on it, so I have to answer this. It's not going to let me submit it if I leave this blank. So I'm going to say yes. And did I clear all my adjustments within 60 days? I can answer this, or I can leave this blank because it's not required. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I want to show you in here. I guess this is it. So this is a prepaid. It shows the explained balances. I can look and see the history of this. So this is saying that my administrator changed it this morning, and that I just made some changes, and now I'm going to go ahead and submit it. So this is a warning telling me that once I submit this for approval, I can't go back in and change it. So now when I look in here on my prepaids, my status has changed here, and it says it's with my reviewer. So it's out of my hands now. Okay, so that was prepaids. That's the first one we're going to look at. The second one we're going to look at is a inventory one. So in-transit inventory is one that, if we think about it, it probably always is going to have reconciling items. So in this case, this is a balance comparison one, and that means that I'm taking a balance from one system and comparing it to another system and then seeing where there's differences. So in this case, I have a source system of 2161. My subsystem is 2160, so I have a $1,000 difference that I have to account for. And I have a little note in here from my boss saying it's still not reconciled. What's the delay? So this is something where we have the ability for other people with the correct rights, they can go in and put comments in here to kind of try and speed up the process. So in this case, I'm going to go in and make an adjustment to my source system. I can go in and load in transactions if I have them, or I'm just going to go in here and we're going to type one in. So I'm going to say that this was in-transit inventory. It's a timing difference. I can say what the impact is, whether this is a balance sheet or the income statement. In this case, it's the balance sheet. This is something really cool. It's not really relevant for here. I can set this up as an amortizing or accreting transaction. So if this was something like fixed assets where I wanted to amortize it over a certain number of months, I could go in here and it would automatically create that for me. So if I say it's amortizing, for example, and put in 1,000 and choose a different depreciation method, it will go ahead and set up an entry to do this for the next 12 months. We don't want to do that for this one, but it's some pretty cool functionality. I can put in an action plan. So let me just change this to 1,000, and I'll save it. So now I have this in here. I can go back into my summary and take a look at this. I can answer the comment if I want to, or I can just submit it for approval. So again, I have compliance questions here. These are configurable. I don't know if I mentioned it before, and these can be different for every single one of my accounts. So they can be very specific and tailored so that for different accounts I have different questions. But these are the same as before. Did you comply? I'll say yes, and I can submit this because I'm in balance now. Okay, so this one, again, so now that changed to reviewer, so we're good to go. Let's talk about a third kind, which is a tracking only one. Now some accounts you don't necessarily have in your GL or in a subsystem, and you're going to want to go in and just have it in here so that all of the reconciliations are in the same place. Maybe there's some kind of offline calculation you do that goes into your financials and you want it in here, but you can't necessarily load it from somewhere else. That's what this tracking one does. So in this case, we're going to have this particular reconciliation is tracking only. You'll notice that we don't have these other tabs up here for the subsystems and for adjustments and stuff like that. So all that I have to go in for this one is enter in my reconciliation balance. And then this one has another call requirement too, which is this is going to require me to attach something. So if I try and submit this, it's going to kick back at me that you must attach the inventory, the particular file before you submit this. So this is forcing me to attach kind of an offline Excel reconciliation to this. So I'm going to go in and actually attach that. And magically, I have a file with that name. And I could also in here, if I wanted to, and if that's what the rule said, I could also go in and just point it to a particular URL. So if we look in here, so I have the instructions, I have the attachments, and if you see in here, I'm missing questions because for this particular one, there were not any certification questions. And I can go ahead and submit this one now. It should be good to go. Okay, so my status has changed. I'm going to show you one more, which is an accounts receivable one, just to give a flavor. So this is accounts receivable, and this is an example of a multi-currency one. So I have all the currencies going across here, and you can see that in Australian dollars, I'm out of balance. So 67,000 for Australian, and then in the dollars, it's 50,000. So the same way that we created the other adjustment, I'm going to go in and create a new one here. And we'll say it's an adjustment for timing. And in here, you'll see this is different. This is entered, so I pick which currency I'm doing this in. I'll type in the amount, 67,425, and you'll see based on the rates that I loaded up for the functional currencies, it's doing my translation here to 50,820. So if I save this transaction detail and go back to my summary now, you can see I made an adjustment of 67,000, and that translated to 50,820, and miraculously, everything ties out. One other quick one to show you. I'm going to clear out my filter here and show you a summary reconciliation. So this is one for prepaids. This is a different one. We have some explain balances in here. These are all of my prepaid accounts going across the top. So this first one, 113.40. We did that reconciliation earlier. What you'll see here is this has a status similar to our other, similar to HFM. It shows that it needs to be updated, that it's been changed. I can click on this and generate updated. It's going to say it exists at the summary. That's going to be replaced. Do you want to continue? I'm going to say yes. It's going in and automatically generating these reconciliations. And now you see it changes to updated, and I've brought in my explain balance here. So this is a way for somebody up at the top to look at all of my sub-detail and automatically generate it. Okay, so Barry's been super busy. He's completed a lot of reconciliations, and now he's going to go in and generate a report binder with some of the ones that are closed. So let's go in. He'll just highlight a couple of these and say generate report binder, and what this is going to do is create a binder or a file that he can send off to somebody else to look at to review this. So if you don't want to give the auditors, for example, access to this, you could have them just send them this zip file. I guess I did that pretty quickly. It creates a zip file. If I go in and extract everything in my zip file, I'm going to give it the same name, November. And now double click on this. It's going to create an index, and you see all the counts here. So they would get this nice zip file with all of the reconciliations on here, so we can go in and let's see, we'll look at this Goodwill one, and this is the same format that we've been looking at with all of the information, but in an offline way to review it after we're done. So it's pretty cool. Okay, the last thing that Barry is going to do is Barry wants to take some of his open items and ask somebody else to finish them for him. Maybe he's going on vacation, maybe he's going to training. He can say, I want you to assign these reconciliations I'm responsible to. He can either select someone or his manager will do it for him. I'm going to training next week, so submit this. So again, when he's out of the office next week, or whenever it is, this means that somebody else knows that he's going to be gone, and somebody else can work on these reconciliations in his absence. And because this system is available to everyone, there's not going to be a delay in the close process just because somebody's out of the office. So it's a really nice function. Okay, we spent a lot of time picking on Barry. We're going to go in as a reviewer, as Henry, and just see his kind of different view of the world. So I'll log on as Henry. So Henry has a different picture. You'll see his Flipboard is smaller, so he has 9 open, and he still has kind of the same tiles that that Barry had. So let's just look and see what he has. So he has my open ones. And let's go ahead and approve one of the ones that we just looked at. So this was the prepaid expenses. So this is exactly what Barry just worked on. You'll see he doesn't have any ability to go in and create new transactions. He can export them into Excel if he wants to review them kind of in an overall way, but he doesn't have the ability to do anything else. He has the questions here. So in this case, as a reviewer, he has to answer one question, which is supporting documentation, and then he can go ahead and approve this. And then it changes to completed. The other thing that Henry has, which is slightly different than Barry, first of all, sorry, let me show you his dashboard. So this is 39, so this is only what he has responsibility for, and then his compliance is really only what he has responsibility for. And then the other thing that he has different, or actually his is fairly similar to Barry's, is this is his Learning Academy, and the PowerPoint that I showed earlier that had a lot of different choices on here, his is pretty minimal. But that's a reviewer, and that's what he would see. He has the ability to comment on reconciliations if he wants to, and again, all configurable based on what makes sense for your organization. And last but not least, we're going to log in as Maria now, as the administrator, and take a look at her view of the world. So this is Maria surfing. So those guys, I think that Henry had something like 9 here. Maria has 215, so she has a lot of stuff that she's working on. Let's take a look at her dashboards. You can see that this is a much more extensive list, but she has the same choices here. So she can look at the organizational units, etc. She can look at compliance, and I think I said earlier that when Barry goes in and looks at the dashboard, or when Henry, the reviewer, they have less rights. Since Maria is overseeing the whole process, she has the ability now to also look and see how particular users and organizational units are doing. So this over here, these different colors, this is traffic lighting, or their version of traffic lighting. So this is showing which ones are closed, which ones are open with high risk, which ones are still open with low risk. So there's potentially a little overlap here. This is configurable if she wants, though. She can add additional traffic lights very easily. So if she just goes into settings and system settings, she can go into compliance reporting. And these are the 3 traffic lights that we saw. Based on any of the filters that are in the system, she can go in, choose a filter, and then add it to her dashboard. So she's going to call it mid-range accounts. She'll pick a color. I'm going to pick Carolina Blue, and then save this, and then right away she can go in here and go back to her compliance dashboard and now see the mid-range accounts. So for her to configure the dashboards and make them more interesting to her and more relevant, it isn't coding, it isn't HTML or Java, it's something very user-friendly that she can go in and set up herself. So this is a really nice feature. When she goes into her activity, so you can see some of the recent activity, the change requests, so she can go in, and this is Barry's request that he just put in for training next week. She can search to find somebody to assign these to. So if she just clicks on users, it's going to search for them. Usually it searches. She can assign them to, probably not Barry, right, but Aruna, and say apply to all, and then she can approve them all. So now all of those couple reconciliations that Barry had are going to be assigned to somebody else to work on them. Couple of her settings to take a look at. This is configuring the periods, the profiles. So if she wants to go in and look at this list of profiles, these are all of the different profiles by account. Obviously, when you're setting this up, this is a lot to type in, so these can be exported or imported as she wants. She can go in here and create new ones for a particular period. If she wants to take all of Barry's stuff and assign it to somebody else, she can do bulk processes in here. So it's actually very easy to use and looks nice. If we go into format, so this is what was creating those profiles, and we take a look maybe at the inventory one that we just looked at, they can set it up. So we have this, not really changing them, but if she wanted on her reconciliations, if she wanted the source system to say general ledger or something like that, this is all configurable. The questions for certification, so the preparer and reviewer ones, we can add new ones very easily. We can customize the instructions for different ones, add in references if we want to, maybe something to an external website or an employee manual with financial rules, whatever they want to do. So this is all very easy for her to set up. Couple other things in system settings to take a look at. We can set up different calendars in here. Different rules for different holidays. So I was kind of joking, the Patriots Day is a different one. We can set up the different currencies and profile segments. So lots of configuration choices in here, and all within this nice GUI. Very easy to use, very easy for training. And then when she goes into her Learning Academy, if she forgets how to do something, she has all of these choices of these short videos to watch. So it's really nice for her. Last thing just to show, we have this console here, which shows our different periods. My only period that's open is November right now. I can go in here and import my currency rates, pre-map data. I walked you through importing transactions for one reconciliation. If we wanted to import all of them, we could do that in here. We can see if any reconciliations are missing. So this is for November. You can see that I have one reconciliation that I have a profile set up, but I don't have it created for November. This could be intentional, or this could be something that an oversight. And that's about all that I wanted to show you from Maria and in ARCS. Lots and lots and lots of stuff that I took you through in about a half hour. So let's go back to my PowerPoint. If anyone has questions, maybe Joe, open it up again for questions.
Sure, Deborah. Okay. Question here, is there a limit to the number of users?
There isn't. Oracle doesn't have a specific limit, but what they've tested and performance verified so far is 500 concurrent users within one pod, which is a lot of users, and they expect that they would be able to have 1,000 users at a time with kind of average concurrency.
Okay.
So lots of room there.
Okay. Another question here, what is the pricing model?
Okay. So as you all know, Oracle likes to change around their pricing a little bit, but right now it's per named user per month with a minimum of 10 users, $120 a month per user, but obviously check with Oracle. But that's about where the pricing is right now.
Okay. Will they permit a development environment in the cloud?
Yes. Yeah, similar to PBCS, right now what they give you is a production and a pre-production environment next to each other.
Okay.
And you know what, Joe? I don't mean to interrupt. I just realized kind of in my, let's say, nerves, I forgot one thing that I wanted to talk about just for a minute. So I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you.
No problem.
I just want to give a comparison of ARCS versus ARM. So ARM being the on-premises. Couple major things, just not major, but things to point out with infrastructure, ARCS versus ARM. Obviously, one is maintained by Oracle, and in ARM, it's on-premises investment. The data loads in ARCS, right now it's limited to pre-mapped data. The Oracle schedules for, I guess, the end of this month that more support, so for unmapped data right now, more flexibility with the data loads. The reconciliation formats and reports right now in ARCS are preloaded, and for the formats that they can be configured and added. In ARM, a little bit more flexibility with the reports using BI Publisher, but that's going to change as well. I talked about online training. The look and feel with ARCS is much kind of bigger. In my opinion, it's a simplified interface. It's easier to see, and the ARM is a different interface. Still lots of detail and information, but just looks a little bit different. I guess in the past there's been a lot of complaints about the service-oriented architecture. It's sometimes tough to troubleshoot. That's not required in ARCS anymore, but it's still required in ARM. And then just with the authentication, the Oracle Identity Manager is user OID, and then in ARM it's Microsoft Active Directory. So just a couple different things. Obviously that this is all as of today, and it's going to change as everything evolves. So just wanted to throw that in. Joe, are there other questions?
Thanks, Deborah. No, that was great. Okay.
Oh, no problem.
I'll just note that additional questions related to this webinar may be emailed to seminars@ranzel.com, and we will respond to you directly. A recording of this webinar will be available on our website shortly, where you may also find a number of previous webinars posted. Our webinars cover a range of topics, so we encourage you to visit our website to view upcoming webinars that you may find valuable. Edgewater Ranzel is a gold sponsor of Kscope 16. Our EPM, BI, and BD experts will be at booth number 611 to meet and greet and to offer product demos. We're hosting 8 conference sessions. Attend any and all sessions for more chances to win an Apple Watch. For more information about Kscope 16, visit the events page on our website and click Kscope 16. Thank you to our audience for joining us, and thank you to Deborah for sharing your knowledge and expertise during this presentation. If anyone has any additional questions or would like to contact us, you can see that you can email us at info@ranzel.com or visit our Contact Us page on our website, and you can email us via our website as well. This concludes today's webinar.